And we're live for another week. Wyld and Ammon's Bogus Hangout with Ammon this week, just for a change. It's nice to be back. Bill,
Good to have
how
you
you
back.
doing?
Good. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. I decided to go for beer for a change because it's late. Why not? There's advantages to being in the UK. My day's done.
It's after 5 o'clock somewhere in the world, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty packed panel today. No Kristin yet, but I'm sure she will be turning up. No sign of Tony Dimmock yet either, but
Probably
pretty sure he's going to be turning up. So Terry, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. You know, same old. Doesn't change. You know, life's what you make it.
Yeah, life's what you can get away with after everybody else has finished screwing it up to you. That's the truth.
I fooled them for another week. I'm here. Let's put it that way.
Regular enough to almost be part of the regular hosts. John Moore, how you doing?
Hello, how you doing? I'm glad to see you finally recovered from your fun with the technology out there and your connections. My God.
This was just the joys of ISPs. We all have to go through it every now and again.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That moment when a communications company decides that communication is not something it wants to do at all.
That's it. Yeah. Exactly. As I tell my clients once in a while when they get frustrated, and I says, "Isn't technology just so much fun?"
Do you remember when they used to promise us that computers are going to be the greatest labor-saving device of all time, and now 15% of the workforce in this country, and I believe the same in the US, are full-time employed just keeping the damn things running.
Exactly.
Joining us for the first time, Randy. How you doing, Randy? Good to have you.
Hey guys, how's it going? I decided to come back on the grid for after being off for a day and a half fencing.
Fencing? What, swords or just fences?
No, fencing as in barriers between homes. My sister showed up, said, "Could I borrow the chop saw?" Next thing you know, I was building her fence.
Yeah. The fence wasn't so hard. That was only half a day. It was the machine gun posts and guard posts that took the time, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to be back. I'm glad to be here. I've been watching you guys' show for a while. I figured it's time I actually participated.
Very glad to have you too. And Johnny Bass, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. I've been following everybody for a long time, and my best reading materials come from this group, pretty much, or people in it.
Cool. I must admit, I don't write as much as I should, especially not articles. I've got a bunch that I'm kind of working on in my head. Whether any of them will actually make it to paper, I'm never entirely sure.
Well, you do a lot of videos, and
yes,
I've watched a lot of your videos, and content information. I'll take it any way I can get it. So.
Yep. I must admit, this is one of the things I find with video. It's so much easier for somebody like me. And I mean, Bill, I know you spend 20, 30 hours on some of your posts sometimes, and you go online for an hour, and it's amazing how much you can put down. Maybe not as well organised, but for efficiency of me getting information out, I must admit I find video very good.
I like spending the time thinking about stuff as I'm writing about it and learning from what I'm reading and writing about. And sometimes the sources I look to for that surprise me. Like this week.
Tell us what you've been up to.
Okay, so in 2007, I wrote an article for Search Engine Land about something called agent rank, which people started referring to as author rank. And it seemed like one of the guys who was running Google Plus left Google, and people, all the tech blogs said Google Plus is gone. Okay, and all the author rank images disappeared shortly afterwards. And that was another sign they were saying Google Plus is gone. So a patent came out today which looks like it'll bring those author photos back. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen with any definiteness, but I'd say there's a good chance of it. And so the idea is that the photos show up when somebody's been considered an expert on a topic. They've somehow developed some level reputation, a reputation score in response to a particular query. So somebody queries something, and somebody they're connected to in Google Plus, a picture of them might show up, a profile picture of them with the snippet that explains why and how they're an expert in that subject. That's a new addition from this new patent that I'm in the midst of writing about, and I'm giving away before I actually publish it.
Yeah, I know a couple of other people want to kind of jump in and ask questions on this one, but I get co-billing on the Hangout, so I get to ask first. What is it you think that they want to bring it back for? I mean, you know, they had it. They experimented a lot with it. They got rid of it. So what's changed? Why are they bringing it back?
Okay, so at one point in time, the idea was we're going to show search results, but we're going to show a picture of somebody you know, and you know that person is an expert. Except people just add people to their circles, and they don't always know who the people are, or what they're an expert in, or whatever. So Google should be including information about why this person's an expert. So this new patent includes snippets that explain that, you know, if the query involves safaris and the snippet says has been on over 100 safaris, that tells you how and why they're an expert in that subject. And you know, that's an improvement over the old photos, which maybe told you the person's name.
Yeah, yeah. I'll come back to this, but Terry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say that I've always thought there was a few reasons for it. A, not good enough take-up to make it useful. B, they started cleaning up a lot of the extra stuff they were putting in SERPs because of mobile, to become more mobile friendly. All these pictures, yeah, you know, I personally hate that part of the whole thing, the pictures and all that. I don't mind if they say, hey, you know this guy and he wrote this, that's cool. But other than that, it means nothing to me. And, you know, that's why I kind of figured Google would do that. I don't follow anybody I want unless I want to actually hear from them. Otherwise, no thanks. I think that gives you a more legitimate follower count as well. Because people unfollow you if you don't follow them. And I'm not going to play that game here because it screws with your results you get.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them doing it where we got personalised now, you know, and it pulls up somebody's G+ post on most searches you do. If somebody's posted something on who's in your G+ circles, great. It could say why it's picked that one out of all the people that you know that may have posted on something, great. But I wouldn't call that author rank. I'd call that social rank, you know. For author rank to come back, I want it to be showing people that aren't in my circles who are acknowledged authors on this thing.
They're referring to it as authoritativeness.
Do they have
an author rank.
Yeah, but I don't think that ever came into play. Ever.
Doesn't mean it can't.
Pardon me?
That doesn't mean it can't come into play.
Oh, no, that's what I mean. Okay, yeah, you're right, Bill. Not that it can't, just that I never saw it. That was the point I was making.
Right.
Whereas I think other people were trying to say that it was there, not to name any names.
The problem's still going to be the algorithm that decides authoritativeness from the algorithm that decides popularity, isn't it? You know, just because somebody with 1,000 followers has said this is so, doesn't make it so. Whereas the real expert may only have 20 followers, and nobody else has heard of them because they've been in a lab, just working on this out of the loop for 50 years. They are the world's greatest expert in this. And unfortunately, the algorithm still can't handle that.
Right.
Yeah, I think that they just can't. The expert is subjective too. Like who you may think is an expert, I may think is a complete and utter idiot. Right? It's all from from how you. It's the context that you look at it. That's the point I'm making as to who's the expert.
This would be a great point. Do you remember Tioma's old algorithm, which first looked at what ranked in the topic and then looked at the page rank between those? Who of these says this is an expert? I think that might be a great place for this kind of algorithm, mightn't it?
That was kind of the hub type.
Yeah.
Kind of
first
like
you find topic and then you find the authorities within the topical authorities. Yeah.
Like Northern Light too used that for a while, right? Then became a patent search engine.
Yeah. Northern Light, I never felt got very far with it. They may have been using it, but it didn't really show in the results, to my thinking. I never found that particularly great.
We're really
I think that,
buddy.
I was just thinking the weakness of the previous author rank was anybody could set up their rank and they would show the picture and didn't necessarily mean anything other than you were on their page.
Yeah.
People had no idea why you were there.
Sometimes. Well, Dave, I found somewhere it actually came from a relationship, and they found it in his email.
Yep.
That's how they put it together. So,
Does it state anywhere in the patent how they're going to go about determining, categorizing or spotting who would be a relevant expert in a subject? I mean,
I don't know. I'm just starting, honestly. I just started writing about this.
Got it.
He's still in discovery mode, is what he's saying.
It's interesting. The other day I contacted my father. He's a physicist. He's been writing about artificial intelligence and publishing papers for the past 10 years. And I mentioned, is there any tool or something that you know of that can do word association? Like star, shiny, nighttime, something. And he said that right now is so complex beyond the ability of anyone to do at this time that there's nothing there. And you would think that would be something relatively easy to achieve, or not relatively easy to achieve, but in this time would be achievable. But he said that's a very
doable if you have a set. If it's doable if you have a set of documents to go from, i.e. the top 10 results for a query. Then you're just getting the co-occurrences. We've talked about that on the dojo, Johnny.
Yeah.
Nothing there. And that would be something relatively easy to achieve, or not relatively to achieve, but in this time would be.
Okay, you need to stop us playing in the background, or we'll get the feedback loop.
Set documents. The top 10 results for queries.
I think that's Terry again.
We talked about that
There we go.
There we go. We're back. I heard Terry in stereo.
Rerun.
So you finally managed to scrape enough bandwidth together to get in here?
Yeah, I was rushed though, since I had to do a couple of meetings and then meet my family, so I'm finally here.
Good to have you.
Yeah, you have beer, man. That's why I joined.
Oh yeah.
So what's the
Lethal
conversation
fruit
about?
beer. Fruit beer is always the good stuff because it's kind of innocent.
Yeah. So what are you guys talking about?
Well, we've been doing author rank basically, the new version, which Bill's been writing about. And have you published that yet, Bill, or is that one still on the way?
No, that one's about 5 paragraphs in so far. So I've still got a few to go.
It's a good start.
Well, there you go. We'll probably let you finish that, and then we'll rip it apart.
Okay.
So, Terry, what have you been up to this week?
Oh, pretty much the same, working on the same project. Starting to look at some new stuff. And, putting out fires.
I have
I guess he's
some
doing the video work still too, but keeping busy. Not much to say today, I guess.
I always have something that some people might have something to offer. I've been doing websites for real estate, and they've been doing well. What I did though is I put in the town, like the banking or each community, the banking in the community. We have kind of a formula, entertainment, schools, but I felt like I was missing the actual act of the transaction semantically. So like if you're just doing the community, that's not really about the transaction of buying and selling real estate. And so, now I'm looking into going into when you buy real estate, you have to get title insurance. You have to get title. You need an inspector, and then also, choosing your realtor. And so instead of making the home page the most searched community, I think I should change the home page to that realtor and the process of real estate and why this person is the right choice for that, and go into detail. I think that's kind of going a little deeper, and I don't know if the algorithms are there to catch up to it or whatever, but I assume they will appreciate it down the road if they're not appreciating it now. Any thoughts?
It's one of those things. I mean, we are still in such early days for machine learning, for AI. If you look at where we've got to in the last 10 years, it's pretty amazing. The stuff I was writing in 2003, people were saying, no, that's never going to happen. Personalised search, the idea of every single person getting their own individualised results, sci-fi. Honestly, back in 2003, everyone thought that was sci-fi. No way, never happened. The computation of that would be ridiculous. And yet, now it's something we take for granted.
Think about some of the metrics that people might value for real estate search. We're seeing walkability scores appear on a lot of housing development and apartment complex websites where people talk about how easy or difficult it is to walk around in a community. You could have bikeability scores, commutability scores, and so on. other ways to measure and attract people's attention. It gives them ideas about whether or not they'd want to live in a particular place. It's going to make creating websites like that kind of interesting. Just finding things that appeal to different individuals that make the search something that they want to pursue.
Now, I know John had a topic that was pretty detailed this week, and this is one of the reasons I jumped him in earlier. I'll be posting the link up in a second, but John, do you want to kind of outline this? Because I love the article, but explain it to people.
Well, in the issue of Science earlier in the month, there was a perspective that what Science does is there's usually somebody does a perspective on a research paper that's later in that particular magazine. There was a research paper done by somebody who does research for Facebook on algorithms for social, filtering, and that particular research article was particularly talking about how those algorithms were actually filtering people out, and maybe as a result of those algorithms, people aren't really seeing the full social fabric of the world around them. That if they were actually, in a sense, this is exaggerating a little bit, in a sense, becoming less social, becoming less exposed to the social world out there. And so this particular person did a little article on it where he talked about how algorithms are developing emerging qualities where they're producing effects that aren't any longer in the code. So you can't go in the code of an algorithm and say, okay, this is why that's happening. Instead, you see something happening that isn't even in the code as a result of the complexity of all those algorithms, which is the point of the title, The Rise of the Algorithm, which is sort of a play on the title of a Terminator movie, The Rise of the Machines. So the idea being that these emergent qualities of complexity start creating effects and results that we couldn't predict, that weren't in the actual code. And for me, an extension of that is maybe at some time these algorithms will cease to be under the control of the people writing them. In other words, Google, Facebook, whoever, no longer really have control of the effects of the algorithms that they write and that they're developing. And all of that is kind of an interesting thing to talk about, I think, because we're entering into that world where these algorithms are becoming increasingly complex. And I sometimes wonder if the effects that we see that is being tested by various people in the SEO world are really the effects that Google intended. And when did they really intend it to work out that way?
We've kind of been there for 10 years. In that was when Google first started to have to worry about what they were introducing and how it. I'm still getting echo. How one thing that was worked on by one team might interact with another part that was done by somebody else, and whenever you needed to kind of see what one thing was going on, you asked how something worked, Matt would have to check with maybe 3 or 4 other departments to find out what each of them was working on, and even then I think there may have been a section of interplay that's very, very hard for them to predict. You know what your algorithm does, and you know what it's supposed to do in the bigger picture, but you must get these little Venn diagram intersections sometimes that aren't the colour you were quite expecting. You know that this team was working on a blue overlay and that team was working on a red overlay, and you expect there to be a purple one, and sometimes those shades are such that it doesn't come out that way. I think that's actually been around for a few years. But just think of how difficult it already is to work with the algorithms that give us our personal results, because they don't know what's in our circles. They can test it on their circles, but actually your personalized results must be very difficult for Google to work on.
So I'm going to throw a question out there. I'm kind of curious how many other people browse in private mode. I actually don't want too personalized. I kind of like that I get a variety of what's coming up.
Go on, Mila.
It depends what you're looking for, I guess. I know a couple of people who use anonymous browsing all the time, and they do all sorts of different work. So I'm guessing if you're working in a company, if you're browsing for porn, you don't want people to know that. I mean, I'm just like digressing.
Never.
There are times when I've already gone around my circles looking for an answer where I might turn it off because I specifically want to go beyond the people I know. And that can be a useful way of telling the agent, no, look, ignore what you know about me. What would be the answer otherwise? But a lot of the rest of the time, no, I'm leaving it on because I want the algorithm to be working at its best and trying to say, right, look, we know you like this site and we know you like this site. So, you know, what's similar to those? What are other authority sites of this type rather than, oh, look, here's what 10,000 Japanese people liked this week, you know, which isn't necessarily going to be particularly relevant to me. So there are times when I will go private to go specifically beyond the people I know, but otherwise, no, I'm going to leave it vanilla. I'm going to have it the way it comes out.
I've
I
never
think for myself, I was just going to say, if I'm in Google Plus, of course, I'm going to get things that are related to people I'm talking to. But when I get out in the browser, I go private just so I actually get a variety, get new information.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You have to do that eventually. So.
Yeah, I'd hate to be stale. I mean, even taking a look at something as simple as Netflix, you get in there, you sign in, and starts paying attention to what you're looking at. Next thing you know, you don't see anything new unless they're pushing it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of other sites I definitely do that kind of thing with, and there's specifically a lot of them where their search isn't very good. But Google itself, no. For me, I mostly find that personalised results, it's 3 in 10, I'd say, are at most personal for me. Then there's other things like they'll pull up a video and some images. There's lots of separate indices, and this is something that I was talking about a little while ago with social media, how social media plays into search. And I think a lot of people think that social media is really important because there's these other indexes coming up, but those are personalized. They are not the main index. Go on, Terry.
Yeah, I was going to say that what I've noticed is when I turn off personal, all it really does is replace the stuff from Google Plus with something that was 3 or 4 places down anyways. It doesn't really fix the fact that if I show any kind of prejudice or bias, all the results will reflect that bias. And that's what I hate about personalization. Google before used to show you 2 sides of a story. Now you get a side to a story. I've noticed that for quite a while. We talked about it. I talked about it on other shows that people watch me heard.
Yeah, I think I would agree, Terry. I think I do the same thing.
Yeah, and then that's one of the points made in the article about us becoming maybe less social as a result of our social, and that is we become more narrowly focused, we become more narrowly exposed, and therefore one of the things of social is tolerance, and so we lose a bit of that tolerance because we're not exposed to opposing opinions, because we have it's filtering. We naturally filter. We do our own filtering. The algorithm's doing the filtering. It's kind of like doubling down on the filter, and so we really get a narrow view of the world.
That's certainly one of the issues of it. But of course, it's the preference you've put in. So if you haven't been only paying attention to one side, and you don't tend to, oh, he disagrees with me, I'm ignoring him, but actually engage with some of those and ask questions, then it knows you're open to that. And do you know what? I find that still those things come in. It's when you start to only seek out in social one side of thing that, guess what? You're sending a signal that you only want to hear one side of it, and therefore the search engine starts sending you what you've asked for, just one side of it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and there's a big factor of human nature in there, and that's, I guess my concern is that the machine is enhancing our own human nature of that narrow view, and I mean, I agree with you. I like to read. I mean, I'll intentionally click on the link of somebody I disagree with because I want to know what it is I missed. I want to know what it is that I haven't thought of. I mean, what is it they're saying that I haven't thought of because they disagree? So I seek out those people, but just people in general are more comfortable with what they're familiar with, and I think this sort of doubles down on a piece of human nature.
Sorry.
Yeah. So those asking if they can join, the link is out there. Hold on, I'm still getting an echo. I'm going to see what we...
I don't think it's me, though.
I just hear it on John and Mimar. They're the only ones I get the echo on.
Now, carry on talking amongst yourselves. I'm just tinkering in the background, you know. you can unmute for this. It sounds good because everyone's muted.
Yeah, Sterling. Okay, so I'm putting together a presentation to talk about knowledge panels at PubCon in a couple months. And I'm curious as to how everyone feels about Google answering your questions instead of sending you to links to pages to get answers to them. Some of the answers haven't been that good. Some of them have been. There's likely some machine learning aspect going on where Google's trying to learn the answers and trying to see how people like the answers they're giving people. People sometimes seem upset that Google is taking content from their sites and displaying it as if they're scraping. Now, that's a point behind a search engine, isn't it? To take data from your pages and display it? Share your words and your thoughts, maybe index it, maybe show links to it. Isn't the real problem a lack of attribution when it doesn't happen? When they don't link? So is anybody here getting answers showing up in queries from their pages?
I hadn't even tried looking.
Yes, I do have. I've played with a lot of this stuff because, you know, Bill and you and I have gone back and forth with this. There's a lot of cool things that machine learning is doing right now that helps us. There's a lot of controversy about getting the link. A lot of my clients that have had those opportunities with those answer boxes have really enjoyed the opportunity with the traffic. Not only from the influx of, because, I mean, even certain videos. I mean, I've played it with financial industries to plumbers. You know, some of the hardest industries to actually get an answer box for, just as a test. And you know, those are fun. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. But the cool thing is when they do show up, people actually look at that first, and you actually have right below that answer box, you have the actual link as the first position in the actual search that shows, okay, if they didn't get the answer box, they can still go right to that first link, right? So there's still ways to get to the website that people are not, I guess, paying attention to. That if you look through your analytics, you can see the traffic.
Yeah, but that's all just journalists, you know, who need something to write about, so they say Google is stealing traffic, and SEO jumps on the fucking bandwagon like the stooges they all are. You know,
It's one of those things. Look, if Google puts up an answer box that puts, you know, I've got a page that's about a quotation, and you know, for years I've been getting people coming through to see that quotation. Just like back with images, people used to come to my page to see the image. And then Google decided it was going to serve the image itself, out of context, without my link, without my attribution. Oh, yeah, it gives a link to see the page. But before that, people came to my gallery to see the picture. Now, somebody with a photograph who was supposed to be promoting my gallery is now displaying their photographs of my gallery instead of the gallery. Now, that's where it gets very iffy, isn't it? And I'm not 100% on Google's side here. I'm not.
That's different than an answer box, though, really, because the people's intent when they're searching is different. Because the intent when they're searching for an image is to grab the friggin' image. They don't need to go to the page. However, if it's an answer box, they're looking for answers. The little clip that Google puts on the page is just enough to show the person that the full details are there, right? Go there. So people do click through to the link. And that's the myth. And that's why people who believe that Google is stealing traffic with these are, you know, it's easy to jump to that conclusion. But I never believed that for a minute. And I always believed that when you were answering those style of questions in the past, people did not click through anyhow. And if they did, it was wasted traffic.
Okay, Terry, let me give an example. One that's come up. Recipes. Now, there's thousands of recipe sites out there. We all know some people who have been in that business a long, long time. There was a while, now Google tweaked it back again a little at the moment, but there was a while when Google was showing the whole recipe. There it was. They didn't have to go to the site anymore. They weren't giving proper attribution. Yeah, there was a link somewhere at the bottom of it, but it was limited. And now they've started to, maybe it hasn't got all the ingredients. You really should click through. But there was a little while, I remember, when basically the whole recipe was there, including the cooking instructions. Now that is taking the traffic. I have given them the ability to list my page, but that is supposed to be in search. And I think they need to give us a new robots tag that says no answer box. We had that for directories. You know, you could opt out of the ODP, you could opt out of your Yahoo description being used. Google gave us that when it's somebody else's property. Well, Google, this is the same thing. Give us an opt-out of answer boxes and an opt-out of knowledge boxes, meta tag. And that solves the whole issue, doesn't it? You did it for those other companies. Let's see you do it with your own, and then we know that it's fair.
It did that because people were unhappy that they were using those. I think if people make a big enough stink, they will. Because most cases, they don't want to hurt the webmasters. They realize in the end that's their bread and butter because we're the ones who buy the ads from. You know, to me, it's all 50-50. And, you know, I wouldn't just jump to the conclusion that they're stealing traffic. I think every one is different, and I mean, if you don't like it, remove it. I mean, it's pretty easy to make that answer so it won't show up in the answer box. I mean, you can answer that same question in a way that's harder to extract.
I got a quick question for you, Terry. Based off the answer box, and I know that a lot of people are afraid of not getting the credit due to them for Google using the actual data. But at the same time, as what we want as webmasters and marketers is we want that data to be found. And if they're finding it, that to me is a good signal. And if you can actually give a good qualified answer that's helpful and authoritative, then why not? And if it's going to show, and then I still get the credit, because at the end of the day, it goes back to what I put in the comments on the side. If I'm a plumber and I showed something that was helpful and I still can't fix my problem, who am I going to call?
Ghostbusters. Oh no, sorry, that was a different thing. The issue is, and let's face it, not all of our clients are experts in these things. If their traffic has been going up nice and steady for years, and suddenly it goes down because Google's now serving these answer boxes, guess what? They're not going to blame Google. Who are they going to be unhappy with? Who are they going to say, I'm losing traffic to?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to tell people why they're gaining traffic from things like that, not hide it from your client.
Often they're not, though. They are losing traffic. I just have to point out, well, look, these weren't people that were engaging and doing more anyway. They were just getting the recipe, writing it down, printing it out, and going away. They weren't engaging with your store. They weren't engaging with your other content. It's low-quality traffic that was lost. But the fact is they have lost traffic, and they have lost what little branding opportunity they had. They lost the banner impression or whatever advertising revenue they were able to get. That's lost, and they're providing the company, so there is a parasitic level going on here. Yeah, Google may be wanting to, give the answer sooner, but the thing is, if that content is being scraped from a site or taken from a site, but that site depends on, on ad revenue to fund the writing and research of those answers, and obviously, getting these answers is hard enough work that Google was prepared to borrow it from them rather than do the work themselves. Then there is an issue there, isn't there? That's like me recording TV, stripping out all the ads and selling the videos to people. You know what? I wouldn't get 10 seconds before I was in court.
Google's never going to pay anybody. Google's never going to pay anybody for content.
Well, Ammon, let me ask you this question: with the traffic loss, though, how I know you were able to analyze the traffic loss maybe from the answer boxes within analytics. How are you identifying other factions of, go back to Moz example, when we look at the timeline and annotation, are we looking at a real drop from answer boxes, or are we actually looking at drops from other penalties that were facing that site prior to an answer box?
Oh, these are penalty-free sites. As you know, I maintain a bunch of test sites. There are none of them with penalties on, and I've seen the traffic drop on these. I've seen the traffic drop on client sites, and there's no chance that there's any kind of penalty in there. Literally, as the answer box appeared, the traffic went down. So,
is there a way to look in analytics to see and identify the answer box? I mean,
unfortunately not. And it would be great if Google told you what the click-through data was on the answer boxes, wouldn't it? But of course, they don't.
Just look up when they announced that they were adding answer boxes to the SERP, and then go through your analytics from that period on, and
I think
see if there's any drop that can be where there was an answer box there. That's how I go about it.
Someone asked to John Mueller probably about adding what is coming from knowledge graph and feature snippet into webmaster tool, but I guess that will take probably ages. But I have some experience in terms of answer box because one of my clients is a quite famous bank, and now Google has started to show for the keyword like bank account the box. And I think that even in terms of, and on this there are two sides, I guess, when we think about this. Is one is the whole mobile thing, that they are reshuffling what the search is to serve mobile, because if I'm using like voice search, they have to give me an answer. But at the same time, for this particular query, especially in finance where we're looking at very expensive CPC, the fact that the competitor of my bank is showing up in the answer box when the bank I'm working for is probably paying £50 to have a click, that's like a bit. And what I've seen most is that the point is that the way they're working on it is not very stable at this point. And I guess that the bad side from my point of view is the way that they're testing it without having maybe as much strong knowledge, because our competitor bank was showing up in the knowledge box, and then after a few seconds that the news was published by Barry Schwartz and one of these guys, I checked and it was my bank, and now it's Wikipedia. But at the same time, it's difficult for someone to kind of act in a way that you can figure out how to get there. And also, especially for these kind of niches where paid search is so expensive, this play a big part into the picture.
Cool. Well, Kristin has joined us, so let's let her have the latest ever hello. Come on.
Hello, ooh, okay, so I heard the latest. The latest.
Yeah, the latest ever opportunity to say hello. You've got.
Oh yeah. Okay, great.
Before we go, goodbye.
Oh, so happy to make it. It's been stormy here, so are we in and out coverage? But so happy to be here. Did we get to talk about John's great topic?
Yeah, I'll let John answer for himself to let you know if he was satisfied. There's so much more we could discuss about it, but I think we gave it a bad about, didn't we, John?
Yeah. We beat it about a little bit, and that's good, you know.
Okay, cool. Then I'll catch it.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Did you hear that?
Yeah, we didn't have Tony join us this week. I did send the invite. I don't know if he forgot or if he's having problems getting in. But we've got a full house now, so he can't fit. So tough luck, Tony. Ha ha.
I could jump off.
We've had one of those kind of weeks. We've been bashing Google mostly in the last bit. The answer boxes, which are contentious. You know, there is a level at which it is very much like the Google image search, which did cost hundreds of sites, hundreds of page impressions. And yeah, you know, the ones who are really interested still go through, but you'll be amazed how many people are, you know, basically copying and saving images off of the site without ever seeing the site. And it's so difficult to serve decent images. Again, if Google gave us a tag, or if Google, when it showed it that way, why not? Look, you've got all this wonderful video technology. Why don't you superimpose what site it's from across the image unless they go through to see the actual page? That would fix it all for all of us, wouldn't it? If somebody saves it, they end up with one that's got the logo of the site across it. Brilliant.
Yeah, it seems like it shouldn't be too difficult. Like Pinterest carries along, you know, the information with it.
But yeah. Isn't every website in a way kind of competition with Google? I mean, if you have a client that's selling something, doesn't Google eventually want to be selling everything?
I'm not sure. I mean, their big thing has always been to organize the world's information. And those websites are the ones providing that information. Without those sites, there is nothing for Google to organize.
And Google's providing ways for sites to make sales. They're adding buy now buttons in search results you're not buying from Google. You're buying from the site being displayed in those results.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an important point.
There, that's a given. But they'll never, they'll even go as far as probably take transactions and do the wholesale, like right down to the wholesale, right on Google. Because you got to remember, their end game is nobody goes to a website. That's the end game. Like SEOs who think that's not going to happen. You shouldn't have your head in the sand. You can work with it if you're looking ahead to that. Don't play the game of being the guy who says they can't do that, because you'll be wrong.
I wouldn't go that far, Terry. I'd say that, they're always going to want people to go through to sites, but what they're going to want is those short clicks. They don't want them going through to sites. The minor stuff. If it's just a quick answer, why don't we give the quick answer and get the branding? Because there's only, a fraction of a second to make an impression here. There's nothing in it for the site really anyway. Maybe an ad impression, but it's not like they're going to click on that ad or do anything decent, so we'll keep it. But they're still going to want to send you through to the article.
I really need to go to the website to purchase a pair of Nike shoes. Nope, don't need to go to a website for that. Right? There's very few products, really.
But the technical specs, they're still going to want you to go through the site.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
they're still going to want you to go through to the site to read the customer declarations, the terms of service, the technical specifications, because do you know what? Google don't want to take responsibility for the accuracy of that information. Full stop. They want you to be the one that could be sold, sued.
They could do it the same way Amazon does it, right? Same way Amazon does it. They're basically affiliate programs. That's what Google is running. They're basically, that stuff is basically an affiliate program.
Harry, the buy now button actually goes to the actual page. When you're testing the buy now product and you click on that, it goes to the page to buy it. And there's
I think Google wanted every website to be secure.
But it's third-party companies that are they're working with third-party companies to be able to actually do the transaction properly through Google Wallet. And there's a lot of things that are going in play for security reasons.
They buy PayPal, the game's on.
Well, I do think that the buy now button is there to get the testing right, see how popular it is, and if that proves to be really popular, guess what? AdWords will let you put a buy now button on your site, and you'll pay for it.
And they'll look after all.
It's free while they're getting the data. I think that will be monetized the minute they can.
Look, they even have a shopping cart, right? Like, and they dropped the price of it from $20,000 to, I don't know, I guess it's a lot less now. There's, to me, that's the end game. Like, and the only thing that would stop them is if the DOJ says, no, we can't allow that. You're cutting too many people out. That'll be the only thing that stops it.
It would probably have something to do with the product as well, because like with Google Flights, there are certain things that like liabilities that Google is not going to want to deal with. But a pair of Nike shoes, like you were saying, that's something that's a little bit more simple and straightforward. I don't know.
Commodity. Those things are actually commodities when you think about it, because
you can even look at that.
You don't need to look at it. You see a picture of it, and the size, if it fits, you know your size. That's it. Why would you need to go through to a page?
Well, I think the other thing is Google Play. Google Play is actually utilizing the Android. We look at the mobile devices now, and you're basically scrolling through something. You're going to see an opportunity to buy now on an app, or free. Click here, and you're going to go to the Play Store, and you can actually look more in depth, and then get more information, and decide if you want to actually click yes, I want to install, or yes, I want to buy. I don't think when you either way, it's going to be Google AdWords, yes, I think eventually it might be that way because that's an opportunity for us. You know, if I'm in e-commerce and I'm working, that's my thing. Cool. I have an opportunity to be able to upsell a lot of cool things with just a click of a button.
Yep.
Goes all the way back to remarketing campaigns. Why would we use those?
We are going to carry on talking in the green room after, as we usually do, but we're in the final few minutes, so what I'm going to do is give everyone a quick chance to tell us what they're up to next week, and then we'll take it from there. So, Bill, what are you up to this coming week?
What I've been up to lately has been getting some great emails from people who want to engage in SEO, which I like seeing. It's nice when they want to talk further about that. So, you know, just having those conversations is a lot of fun.
Cool. Is this people kind of giving you requests for work, or is this people asking you how to get started in SEO, how they can do SEO?
Actually, it's both. I tend to get both. I get emails from potential clients, and I get emails from people who want to learn more about SEO. And, you know, sometimes it's a matter of having them ask questions about blog posts I've written in the past and me explaining those in a little bit more detail, which is kind of fun. I got one of those this morning. Yeah.
Bill, have you seen Fight Club, the movie?
I have.
Tell them that they've got to turn up at your house with a bag packed, nothing else, after they've been there for a day, and you've got them doing your yard, you know, growing some vegetables, running an allotment for you, get them to build their own outhouse. And, you know, once they've built accommodation there, you can open up offices where they're paying for it all. They're doing the lot. I tell you, there's a future in that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun when you get a 17-year-old in LinkedIn who says, I've been following your website for the past 10 years.
Wow. A 7-year-old was following you.
That's the new competition, boys. Look out.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Then I literally can say you were in diapers when I started doing this.
There's a very old fellow I know who that's true of.
That could be said for me. I've met people that were doing SEO that weren't even born when I was doing it.
So Terry, what are you up to this coming week?
I'm looking at a few things. Gonna do some more on Azure server, learn how to set it up more. Then I can fire my brother and, you know, life would be grand.
Cool. Kristin, what are you up to this week?
Coding! Yay!
Excellent.
I'm a coder. I code now.
Yeah. Yeah. For those who don't know and how you've missed it, I do not know, but you know you should be following Kristin and keeping up. Kristin has been learning HTML5 and CSS, and you know been busy for a while and really starting to learn that these are very handy little keys to the universe of knowledge, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I love it. And like, I was never a big geometry person, but I loved algebra, and it's like just so similar. Like you're just plugging things in and making things work, and everything's just like making sense. And yeah, I'm totally loving it.
Excellent. John Moore, what have you got coming up?
Oh, I'm trying to finish up a big project of a very old client. This client started with me in '91. It's a big wholesale nursery in the western corner of the United States. And so I'm trying to finish them up. The problem I run into is every time I'm just about ready to deliver it, they say, oh, we want this, this, and this. So it's just sort of one of those projects that just sort of keeps going and going because they keep finding something else they want to add to it. So I'm trying to really hold the gun to their head and say, hey, we got to get this delivered, and then you can add stuff to it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to get that wrapped up.
The magic word here is creeping featureism. It's listed on Wikipedia. Send them the link to that.
Yeah.
Tell them anything after this point is a second project. That gets you a new project coming in, which can then creep all it likes, but you've got this one out the door.
Yeah, no, actually, because they're old clients, they just pay for everything. I mean,
Well, yeah.
so it's not a bad thing, other than I like to see it done.
And besides, the
They don't
web
see
is always, it's always a rolling update anyway. Randy, what are you up to this week?
Well, I'm right now working with I don't know 40 or so clients for a client we're handling, but one in particular has about 8.5 million pages, and they want to increase their AdSense revenue. So that's going to be a big one for me this week.
Excellent. I must admit that kind of site, that kind of size with AdSense is always, I hate to say it, but it's a lost opportunity. AdSense is what we used to call webmaster welfare. It's for those people who couldn't be bothered to find their own good advertisers or affiliate programs. They are leaving so much money on the table, or rather they are leaving so much money in Google's pockets doing that. But
yeah,
that's close.
Well, actually, this is one of those sites where it kind of runs on its own, so it's all good.
Yeah. Johnny Bass.
I got a client who we just found. He had an address in Washington, D.C. He's not even exploiting it. It's not even on Google Maps. And so I think I can really increase his bottom line, which is exciting. And I started to work with a nonprofit that just started that I get to kind of help push it along. And I was saying, I'd like to teach people how to do this, and they're going to try to contact corporations, and maybe we can get them to work. Which seems kind of interesting. It's a good diversion, so that's exciting.
Cool. I have to call you Moo Moo for the sake of Craig Burton, because otherwise, he will never forget the missed opportunity. What are you up to this week?
What am I up to? I'm doing projects for e-commerce sites, mostly web design and consulting work, but mostly in e-commerce lately. So I've been doing some work in Denmark and Sweden, UK as well, and that's pretty much it. Been traveling around.
Yeah, was it Italy next week, or is that just holiday?
Yeah, Italy's holiday. Thank God, finally. So I'm going to San Marino and Rimini, and I'm gonna have some fun and just relax. And probably one day, the next day, I'll probably take my laptop and just start doing something because I'm sensitive.
Cool, excellent. I'm jealous, I must admit. I don't get as many holidays as I would like to get because I got a lot of things, kind of ongoing commitments. You know how I mean. William, what are you up to this week?
Healing. I just had surgery on my thumb after 4 months of actually breaking it. Got 2 screws out, so still trying to actually work with my mouse and typing.
You and Randy are injury buddies.
I'm just down to a scar now.
Hey, there you go. You should see the screws. They pulled them out. I was like, man, I could have bought those from a hardware store.
And yeah, Fabrizio, come on, what are you up to this week?
I'm still on the art mission to find new talents. Probably I'm gonna phone Bill and ask for the number of that's 17 years old. We have to add 4 more people to the team, and we found 2, and we are probably finding the next 2 will be like impossible. We kind of struggling with that, but yeah, that's gonna be my mission on top of the work.
Awesome. And for me, I've got another one of the Hangouts with Vin on marketing tomorrow, if I remember rightly. I hope that I've got that right, but yeah, tomorrow. So that's going to be the 4th one, and this time we're looking at websites and how they matter in the big picture of marketing today online. Well, that's it for our online part, but I'm sure we'll carry on in the green room. And take care. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Anna.